Welcome to the Configure Price Quote podcast. My name is Sohn and I'm the founder of Infor CPQ Consulting. This podcast is 100% focused on Configure Price Quote, also known as CPQ, and will provide you useful insights into this topic. Hello everyone, this week it is just me, but I'm talking about the topic that I know many of you are interested in, and that's the fastest way to understand the CPQ landscape. I think anyone who's ever searched online for CPQ software, then you've probably discovered something pretty quickly. It's pretty complicated, isn't it? Because there are over 150 vendors out there. Almost every vendor claims that they are the leader for something. You have analysts reporting that are also somewhat confusing because they all focus on slightly different areas. And if you're new to CPQ, then it's almost impossible to know where to start, right? So because it's not that there's no information out there. There's too much information out there and you don't know which one to use. So that's the reason why I wanted to make things simple, right? So in this short episode, I'll show you the fastest way to understand the CPQ landscape, what CPQ really is, why it matters, and how you can learn it faster than ever before. No hype, no long white papers, just practical insights based on my almost 30 years in the CPQ world now. And then let's go ahead and let's start with the basics. What is CPQ, right? So CPQ stands for Configure Price Quote. It's the software that helps companies sell complex products or services accurately and efficiently. Look at some examples. Think, for example, of a manufacturer configuring a custom machine, right? Or a SaaS company managing pricing tiers and approvals. CPQ makes the connections here, or connects the dots, connects product data, pricing rules, quotes, workflow, so sales teams can deliver the right proposal every time. That's one of the key objectives, right? So, and today, CPQ touches everything from manufacturing and services to telecom and SaaS company. It's becoming a core part of modern revenue operations. And now the question here is why is learning CPQ still so hard, right? Now, here's the challenge. There are over the 135 vendors that I mentioned earlier, right? So each and every one is doing something slightly different, so they all call themselves CPQ. It's not the same because you have Service CPQ, which has really nothing to do with a product CPQ, right? So, and then you have SaaS companies which use different terminology than manufacturing focused CPQ vendors. So everyone uses their own terminology. And when you look at the vendor websites, well, let's be honest, they are designed to sell and not to educate, right? So from what I see also with prospects and later on customers, right? They spend weeks jumping between demos because every vendor tries to show you a demo first, right? So because they know it's typically a good hook to become the benchmark for everyone else, right? Or to read blog posts or have any kind of PDFs out there or watch webinars, lots of content, right? So the question is, the problem is just at the end, you probably come up with more questions than answers. And then also something I mentioned a little bit earlier is the analyst reports, and there are many of them, right? So most of them are really expensive. Sometimes they are biased in certain directions. And what also happens very often, they are outdated within a couple of months because these are software companies. They develop functionality. They do it very rapidly. So you cannot expect to set up one analyst, or you look at one analyst report in a year and you think that's correct all the time. So you have to know how to put that in place, right? So what I still see is most of the folks who are new to CPQ spend too much time, often months, just trying to map out who does what and where to even start seriously. It's not uncommon that I see folks coming to me with large Excel spreadsheets which have a ton of information and they are still pretty much useless to them, right? So that's why we started the CPQ Briefing subscription to make learning CPQ faster, structured, and fact-based. So each CPQ briefing document is only 2 pages long. We did that based on feedback from actual customers. Initially, we would have liked to make it a little bit longer to add more information, but you see, there we are back again to what I mentioned earlier. You have too much information and then you don't know what to do with it. So we put all the information on 2 pages. And it's written after we've seen an actual vendor demo and discussed the product capabilities directly, right? So the format I tell you about is what we do with each and every vendor before we create these briefing documents. It is basically, it consists of four parts. The first part is typically some slideware to show when was the company founded? Who is the founder? Who is leading it? What's the vision for the company? How many customers do you have? How many users do you have? What's the roadmap? So everything that shines a light on the company, right? So it gives every vendor a possibility to talk about what the solution can do from their perspective. The second part is what are the benefits, right? So what is the reason that you are selling your solutions to customers? There are probably 3 use cases. I always use 3, so don't get hung up on that. So it could also be 2 or 4, but the main point is there is a couple of reasons why you sell your solution. What is that, right? So what business problem does it solve? What we ask the vendors to do then is, okay, explain what business problem you solve and show me in your solution how you actually do that. So, and that is the second part. The third part is they are probably working on some newer functionalities, like right now a lot of vendors work on artificial intelligence, AI. So that's something that you think will help you sell the solution going forward based on your customer interactions, but has not helped you sell the solution just yet, right? So the approach is the same, to basically say, okay, you think that will sell because you're fixing a business problem. What problem are you fixing? Then show me in your solution how you fixed it, right? And then the fourth part is it is important for every customer to understand how do you have to maintain this once the solution is yours, right? So do you have to maintain it yourself? You will depend on the vendor. You will have to work with a system implementation or a system integration partner to maintain the solution. So show me a little bit what's important for you. We leave this open here because vendors do different things. Some are more focused on pricing, some are more focused on product configuration, some are focused on bringing it all together. So we say whatever is most important for your customers, the maintenance, show me how that's done so that we can provide this info also in the briefing documents, right? So now let's look at an example, right? So let's say you have a prospect and they are coming to me and want to compare Salesforce CPQ, Infor CPQ, and Tacton CPQ, right? They can do that also with these documents now, and we have all of the vendors in the briefing, right? So you can do that in less than 20 minutes. You can see who has their strengths in product configuration, who has their strengths in pricing complexity, how do they compare against each other, who integrates tighter with certain ERP systems, and so on. So I think it is really like having an analyst sitting right next to you in a one-on-one, but focused entirely on facts and not sponsorships, right? So because every time we issue a briefing document, we also make sure with the vendor that whatever is in there is factually correct, right? So everything that has a marketing sound is removed on purpose. We want to use the 2 sides or the 2 pages wisely so that subscribers get the most out of it. Now, where it gets really interesting, if you don't know the CPQ landscape, as a lot of the prospects that we work with do, right, is when you use that with a large language model like a ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, right? So you can interactively explore these solutions. And I think that is very interesting because now you can do it at your own pace with your own questions. Because what we see is, even though we worked with many customers over the years, it's like everyone has their own questions, their own focus, right? So in this case, It's also, you don't have to talk to me directly in the first place. I've done this for a long time. Maybe that looks stupid for you when you have to talk to someone who has so much experience. So you can learn a little bit more about it yourself before you ask more questions, right? So I think that empowers buyers, and it also helps to use the time better on all sides. So it should be a win-win anyway. So what we see a number of customers do, most of them actually, is to upload their business requirements as far as they have them, right, in the briefing, and then ask questions like, which CPQ vendors support the manufacturing bumps, or which one handle subscription pricing best and why, and which one is SOC 2 certified, and so on, right? So there's a whole slew of questions, but as I said, everyone is asking their own questions. So it's not that you have to follow a certain pattern. Some people are more interested in this, others more in that. And I think the value really comes out of the possibility to ask your own question, not have to stick to a pattern of questions that others came up with. So anyway, you get targeted answers based on high quality data, right? So because we create the documents based on this, we sit for each document 3 to 4 hours, in some cases also more. And you have high quality data, not marketing data, right? And I think that's how you learn faster and smarter. So now, for who is this, right? So let's break it down to be really clear about this. As I said, for newcomers, so someone who has not used CPQ for years, but it's new to it, you're just starting out, I think this helps you understand the landscape in plain language. In a weekend, in a couple of days, you can learn what others may have taken weeks or months to grasp, right? So you get the good overview, and you're getting ready to have better discussions with vendors afterwards. I think that's the main benefit for newcomers. For teams evaluating new solutions, right? So that helps you narrow the options potentially from dozens of vendors down to the 5 or a max of 10 or 8 that actually fit your needs. So you spend your time on the right demos, because that's pretty intense when you get to the demo stage. With most customers that I organize demos with, it takes 3 to 4 hours, right? So it's not a quick thing. And when you spend so much time and you have so many participants, potentially up to 10 in a demo, is not unusual. Then you want to make sure you spend it on the right things. So to prepare for that upfront, I think is also for these teams a good investment to use the documents for that. We also have now for students and universities, so if you're studying business, IT, engineering, I think this could be a crash course in how digital sales really works, right? We've been exploring some student and university pricing, so future professionals can learn CPQ early and have a solid foundation in it. So, and then last but not least, it's also interesting for system integrators and investors, because these documents help you to see where the market is heading, which vendors are innovating fastest, where partnerships or opportunities might emerge, and so on. And you recognize some of these trends yourself. So I think that's also one key component of this whole exercise, to say you can rely on yourself and on your own skills. You don't always have to go to someone and then pay for this information. So I think everyone gets something out of it, whether you're learning, buying, teaching, or investing. And in general, I think we're entering a new phase for CPQ and for learning in general, right? So AI tools are changing how people find information. Instead of reading 100 pages or instead of going to Google, we now ask questions. At least more and more people do it more often, right? But here's the key. AI is only as good as the data you give it, right? So if you feed it low quality marketing content, you probably get vague answers. So feed it the CPQ briefings and you get precise contextual insights. That's what the subscription offers, right? A trusted data foundation for your own research and AI exploration. So it's not replacing experts. It's about empowering more people to make smart CPQ decisions faster. So I think if you're serious about understanding the CPQ market, whether you're new to it, evaluating solution, or teaching others, start with the briefings. They'll save you time, help you ask better questions, and give you a clear view of what's real in CPQ today. You can learn more on the website at novocpq.com. And if you're listening from a university or a training program, reach out. We're developing special access and pricing for students and educators. Remember, you do not have to get lost in the noise. With the right information presented clearly, you can understand the CPQ landscape faster than ever before. I'd like to thank everyone for listening and hope you learned something interesting today. If you like the podcast, please go ahead and rate it on iTunes or share it with your friends and colleagues. In the meantime, you can find us online at www.novocpq.com. So long, everyone.